Hey, what's up, Dre Samp fam? I'm your host, Dre Samp, and this is Raw Thoughts with me. Where basically I just wake up, have a cup of coffee, and I talk about what's going on in my beautiful little noggin right here. If you guys haven't seen, background's a little bit more updated. Like I said, I'm producing. I want to produce quality for you. So I've been working on. And also I'm doing these raw thoughts just because, one, I want to just start documenting and not creating, like I've already said, and just get content out there. But two, yeah, I want to be consistent, blah, 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 blah. But like three, what was the point I was trying to make? Oh, it's just by making these videos, hopefully some people will see. But I'm doing these just low production value, or not low production, but just like raw thoughts, just because hopefully, if my dream, or not my dream, but kind of like my pseudo plan comes into place, like a year from now, they'll have a bunch of people following, and they'll be able to see like, oh, well, he started out just like talking in his kitchen, just doing literally this. So, yeah, I'm doing well. Yeah, I guess these I'm gonna do these raw thoughts a little bit less. I'm learning more about content creation and like audience engagement, and audience retention, studying things like that. And I've been like trying to focus on like what my niche is or who I am. And like Gary Vee says, your niche is you, right? You are your business. You're selling yourself. You are your person. Develop your personal brand. I don't really know exactly what that means, but I do like the idea of like, no, you don't have to pick like, all right, Star Wars toy collector, or like, I cook breakfast foods, right? It's just like, no, this is me. This is what I do, and then you just put yourself out there, So that's kind of what this is, right? No judgment. No editing, no nothing. You guys like my Tigger sweatshirt? It's one of my favorites. Yeah, so that's been fun. I got this, like I said, the production is happening. I've got a light. I'm getting a legitimate camera. I'm my microphone. I'm testing out, resetting. So, like, there's a lot of things that are happening. I'm very excited because I feel like things are changing. And as I move forward, I want to think about like what the type of content I'm going to be creating. I'm mumbling and rambling a lot. I don't know. I'm a little off today. I don't know what I want to talk about. I guess another thing. So I'm a comedian. This is another thing that's been bubbling around in my brain. I do comedy here in Chicago. I do stand-up, improv, act in funny plays and whatnot. And Chicago is very interesting. You guys, there's nothing I'm just going to be talking about. It's just like a little comedy history lesson right here. So no, I'm not going to, whatever. So, you've got, so people come to Chicago to learn improv comedy or the art of comedy, because improv, if you're not familiar with improv, the arts of like making stuff up on the spot, it's got certain guidelines and rules that you follow, and that would help you build a good scene. So people would start for years, decades, people would come to Chicago to learn comedy in hopes of getting on SNL, or it's like comedy college, right? And then you graduate comedy college, and maybe potentially you can use your degree in comedy, right? Well, quarantine happened, and so that was 10, 20, 30 years ago. That was the move. You want to learn comedy, you want to be a comedian, you have to come to Second City. You have to go. You take Second City. You have to take IO. Depending on your time, maybe annoyance. But like if you want to do comedy and comedy, like improv, stand-up comedy. If you want to be the the comedians you see on TV, you had to go to Second City. You had to go to Chicago. Then the cell phone comes out. Boom, 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 boom. People still come, but here's what's gonna happen. Already, like, that's becoming an outdated concept. You have to come to Chicago to become a comedian. And for decades, for generations, that was the case, or many people believe that was the case. You had to train at some sort of comedy institution. UCB over in New York, Groundlings over in LA, for Second City here in Chicago. But you know, cell phones, YouTube came out, and basically the point I'm trying to get to is now, with the advent of today's technology, you don't need anyone's permission to be a comedian, and you certainly don't need anyone's permission to be funny. And it's the bar of entry is zero, and you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Right? So now think about a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid going through high school. And then they get the itch, you know, they see a movie or whatever, and they just want to be funny. They want to be like that person. And now, instead of like, oh, I'm going to come to Chicago after I graduate and do this for 3 years and study at these places and spend all this money and learn, blah, 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 blah. Instead of doing that, now you can just take out your phone, press record, Scuba Tap, Scuba, right? And then post it up on YouTube, post on TikTok, and that could get millions of views in a heartbeat, right? A kid could get more laughs making a dumb 7-second video tonight than an established stand-up comedian, more laughs than an established comedian has accumulated in 50 years. It's the power of the internet. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is, these institutions that aspiring comedians migrate to be a comedian, what it means to be a comedian, and like how to be funny, and you don't have to go anywhere to be funny, right? And you know, anyone can be a comedian. Anyone can make a joke, just like anyone can like post anything, yell, post fake news, or what have you, right? So bar for entry is low, and so I guess what I'm trying to say is now if someone's growing up, you know, they're not going to come to Chicago. They're not going to think to go to an improv school, because guess what? Here's the interesting thing is, we all went to Second City, you know, because our heroes went there, right? You know, the people that we looked up to, comedians that we looked up to went there, right? Because that's how they learn comedy. That's what we want to do. So, but now, what's going to be happening, and it's already happened a little bit with YouTube, happened a little bit with Vine. What's going to be happening even more is kids are going to establish themselves on these platforms. I don't want to say kids, you know, youth, young people, right? Establish themselves on these platforms. They're going to grow a fan base, and like now they're doing comedy for fans and for people that like them. Why would they ever come to Chicago to take an improv class to learn this when people are just dying for them to post content? So that's like kind of the end of my rant, I guess. Well, the end is quarantine will end. Hopefully one day we'll get able to walk outside. Small businesses will open back up, and here's what's going to happen. All of these improvisers that have been living paycheck to paycheck, you know, once they can walk outside, no one's going to spend money, especially all these improvisers that have always been taking classes for years to go jumping back into a program. No one's going to go back into improv classes. No one's going to move to Chicago for improv, because I mean, yeah, people always will, but it's just going to be less and less and less. And I don't see improv, at least IO and Annoyance, I don't see them ever recovering. I don't see it. Second City has a name, but IO, it's very word of mouth, and people are going to come back. Comedians aren't. The first thing they're going to do is just jump into classes, right? And the first thing audiences are going to do is jump into watch an improv show, And anyone that wants to be a comedian, they're not going to move to Chicago now. They're just going to press record on their phone. And so less and less people are going to be coming. So I'm actually calling it here. I'm predicting it first. A Dre Samp prediction. Improv comedy, at least in Chicago, is on a decline and will continue to decline until termination in Chicago. I don't see it surviving, and I say that as someone that has spent extensive time doing improv the past 3 or 4 years. Because I know all the improv comedians, right? And they're not going to jump back into classes. New people will, but there's not going to be enough new people. And people like Sharna need the classes, it's not going to work, This would be very interesting to see what happens. But that's why we're pivoting, and there's a whole nother, very interesting thing where all these comedians that I've seen get laughs on stage as stand-up comedians, as improv comedians, and as sketch writers, I'm now seeing a lot of them turn to TikTok to create content and to get laughs. But the only thing now is that these comedians, they've been trained on how to be funny on stage, in person, and it's a completely different medium now of performing via screen, and it's a different game, and we've spent years building this skill set to make people laugh while we're on stage, and now we're doing this, or some people are trying to do this, and it doesn't translate as well, and a lot of people are going to get very frustrated. A lot of comedians that this is what they wanted to do are going to face a crossroads, and they're not going to be able to restart, they're not going to be able to adapt. But this is the future of this is the future of comedy. Less and less people are going to stop going to the Comedy Store, to the stand-up store, to Second City to get a laugh. The more and more people are going to be turning to their phones, to their devices. And they already are, but like for a night out, right? All right, well, that's enough prediction for me today. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in tomorrow. Camera comes in tomorrow, actually, so hopefully we can get the setup even nicer. We're going to continue to do this. Check me out on TikTok at Dre Samp, because that's really where I want to have explosive growth, and I think once I can build a community on that platform, I can work on the others. All right, guys, I love you. Peace out. Be well. Be safe. Stay sleazy.